Quranic verses. So they are molding it to some other way. So that is who we are. Their identity is different. They are not Muslims. They are living in a very developed part of the world. So they can say in a cozy, sophisticated room all those things that they are saying. But we living in Pakistan, they are unaware of the ground realities. Here you say the knowledge that is multimodal. Yeah. It depends like you belong to which territory. Yes. When and where, at what time, the time is crucial. That particular era is important, in which you are just discussing it in the context of 14th century, 16th century, 21st century, current scenario, clear? And then you see who we are, your social identity. Mean you belong to certain community, your ethnic and cultural values, so all and social perspective. They have to do with something with your language and the way you are using that language in your everyday affairs. So that is discourse. Okay? So you may evaluate it from the social perspective, cultural perspective, cognitive perspective. Yeah? Right. Okay, move on. Yes. So it has something to do with social groups and our identity. So this is, and next we have the fourth assumption. It is language is never used all by itself. Language is never used all by itself. It is always combined with other things like tone of voice, facial expressions, and gestures when we speak. However, fonts, layouts, and graphics when we type. So means they are there in the discourse. Yeah, they are there. You may in spoken discourse we have tone of voice, facial expressions, and gestures. It's not about all of the content that we are uttering from our mouth, but the way and the manner, the fashion in which we are speaking all those words, that is going to matter. Yes, that knowledge of language is actually multiple. Like discourse and knowledge. When man says discourse and knowledge, so means that knowledge is the actually source of imparting more comprehensible input. Right. And that is the food for thought, for understanding. Yes. Clear? So mean knowledge is multiple. If the multiple contexts are there, so mean interpretation is different. Yes. Because it is directly linked with that context. So you may interpret in some other way, the other one is mean if there is a you can say that an accident on the road, 5 to 7 students are just witnessing that particular event. So if I ask the same question to 5 students, those who are just you can say that eyewitness of that accident, their description would be totally different from each other. How? They are focusing as per their own context, trying to evaluate that situation. So this is how context matters a lot in discourse. It imparts certain meaning. So this is how we can say that comprehensible input is related to the multimodal element in discourse. So discourse, the text can talk in a context. So whether we are evaluating a text, written text in a context, just talking in a certain situation, the way I have mentioned right now the accident situation. So you are describing it in your own particular way by using your own context, by using your own subjective mental model. So this is how discourse can help you a lot in figuring out the comprehensible input, and it can help you a lot in understanding that situation. So that was about written discourse. In spoken discourse, in written discourse, fonts, layouts, and graphics when we write. That is the reason when publishers are going to publish their books, so they are adding graphics and images in students' books usually, because students learn more by seeing the pictures. Their visual power is strong than their reading power. Okay, so this is how the mind of the children work. That's why they add. So graphical images used in books or even in presentations, they convey more than speaking and written discourse. You are getting messages through different senses. Yes. Like the 5 senses are there, like the sense of sight. If you are strong in your visual side, your visual side is more dominating. Maybe those pictures and pictorial, material is going to give you more clarity. And if you are kinesthetic, maybe some other listening as well as some other emotional and feelings and other elements are going to impart you more. And audibly, you are just simply listening and that's can go. Clear? Yes. They are called learning styles. Every student and even every human being have in teaching we have implemented all these things in our schools. That when we make a lesson plan, so we involve some activity for visual learners, some activity for kinesthetic learners, like practically their hands and arms and legs they are moving, and some activity for verbal learners. Okay, so all these types. And the way you are saying, sometimes people are saying, yes, and it means those who are saying, they are charismatic. Yes, and then it means they are pure. Right. It means exactly. Your actually single sentence is saying, yes, and clarifying your personality, whether you are the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, in which area you fall, and that by using that area, you can actually acquire that language in a more proficient way. Some people are picture smart, some are word smart, and even some are action smart, some are music smart. Those children in our school which are music smart, so we teach them through poems by rhyming words, hat, bat, hat, so by mathematical formulas, and even the tenses. I have taught them tenses in the form of a poem. So because those students are music smart, they learn everything by tone and tonality, and so I think these are the four. You need to strike and hit the area that is, yes, actually strong. Right. And here you see now the scenario is totally changed. The classroom in the fifth semester that we were previously using, and the setting that is available for today is totally different. Classroom atmosphere is totally, now you have the multimedia, and then even the font size and the content is visible. Those who are visual, they can get help from this particular content and material, and those who are auditory can listen to the lecture of Furqan and also ask questions, and even the kinesthetic can get involved into it also. So it means it is all inclusive, a full package. Yeah. That's why I have added activities and pictures. Next slide, Yusuf. Example. Yes. Now, this is also a real life example. And it was a project in my school that a student of my class he invented a projector, a homemade projector. So when he gave a speech in assembly in front of whole school, so that is recorded on Facebook page. You may check it from there. But I have written here that how the discourse works, despite having a lot of grammatical errors, and but still the listener or the reader is going to get all these things. Now just check first example. His name is Abbas Sani. He said that my name is Abbas Sani and I am from grade 6. Today I am to describe my project. Now grammatically this sentence is wrong. He could say today I am going to, but he said today I am to describe my projector and spotlight. This is my and myself projector. It works like a spotlight. Now just check. But if you say simply in the context of syntactic structure, is also, yes, appropriate. Yes. It's because it is communicating with the message. Message. Like, right, it's an infinitive. When once you are using to and the first form infinitive, like I am to describe, yeah, my project. So she is taking pause, and the way she is expressing, it's absolutely fine. Right. But if you're using like typical way, the progressive tense or continuous tense, I am, use the third form or maybe the ing form, the fourth one. So we are not just taking the typical structure. Yes. Over here. Here the messages are very clear. Right. It means the languages, etc. You may say, bring me a glass of water, fetch me a glass of water. I need a glass of water. Water, please. So the message is the same. The way of actually saying that thing, they are multiple. This is how the knowledge is multimodal. That is why acquisition is more important. Clear? So then he said, we made this projector and spotlight. Now this word was spotlight, but he said spotlight with help of magnifying glass on box. Then we cut it according to magnifying glass and we paste it and it filled. We left it 20 minutes. We are supposed to conclude it. Right. All the slides. Then now these two are spoken discourse, and this is an example I took from the notebook of a student of the same standard grade. He did written that in liquid state the particles all to touch each other, they are not in fixed position, they move randomly. In solid state particles touch each other, they are in fixed position in a regular pattern. So it is also conveying you the meaning, but grammatical structure is not right. So it has nothing to do with grammar. The main message, it is quite communicable.
In the context of comprehensible input, as Dr. Gresham communicates, that language is grammar is important, but it is least important. Yes. Because in that particular acquisitional perspective, although it is important, we cannot break the structure totally because otherwise the meaning will be the entire structure dismantled and the meaning are totally changed. But the meaning at the minimum level, at the least level, it is absolutely
yes.
interpretive discourse.
Next, we have interpreting discourse. How can we interpret discourse? So, while evaluating a discourse, a text, we need to keep in mind these two techniques. First one is cohesion and coherence. Cohesion is grammatical and lexical linking within a text to cohesive ties. When we are writing a text, a paragraph or an essay, so we have some linking words. It is a glue that sticks the whole paragraph or the whole body together, all together.
Furqan, I think these points are self-explanatory. Simply read them hurriedly.
Linking of sentences. My father once bought a Lincoln convertible. He did it by saving every penny he could. That car would be worth a fortune nowadays. However, he sold it to help pay for my college education. Sometimes I think I would rather have that convertible. And next we have coherence, what makes a text semantically meaningful and logical. Linking of ideas, her, that's the telephone, him, I'm in the bath, okay. So I'm just going to explain this example that she said that's the telephone is ringing, and the person said, I'm in the bath. He didn't said about anything about the telephone, but depending upon the context, the girl understood all the scenario that he is saying that I'm in the washroom and I can't pick up the phone. Go ahead.
Be silent, don't gossip.
Next, we have turn. Now, that was all about written discourse. In spoken discourse, we are left with few terms and terminologies. So, I'm going to.
We have discussed it in detail. Read it, yes, read it.
So, in conversation, the unit of talk by one speaker ended by the beginning of the next speaker's unit of talk normally starts with an overlap. For example, Sarah, I'm so excited for the concert tonight. Nora, me too, I've been listening to their new album non-stop. Sarah, yeah, it's really good, I especially love the song. Nora interrupting, oh, me too, that's my favorite song. Next, we have completion point. In conversation, the end of a term usually marked by a pause at the end of a phrase or a sentence. When you are speaking, so the end where you stop and give an opportunity to the speaker, to your hearer, to speak something, to add something in the conversation, that is called completion point. For example, A says, how was your weekend? Completion point. B says, it was great, I went to beach. Completion. And then A takes turn. That sounds amazing, I'm jealous. Next. Next, we have turn taking, the way in which a speaker involved in a conversation takes a turn. Quite simple. Filled pauses. A break in the flow of speech using sounds such as M or R, like people are having pauses in speech.
You see, the native speakers are more expert in producing these pauses. We are non-natives. Yes. Actually, looks like quite artificial if we are saying, but even in just listen, a British lady, the way she is actually producing our guys, I mean, they are totally quite natural. The way they are taking pauses, but our pauses are sometimes artificial. Don't password, for example.
For example, I mean his other latter films were much more.
Because our pauses are there in our own language. They are quite appropriate. In the first two language, yes. But they are of different nature.
Really more in the romantic style, and that was more what he was. You know, best I feel. Example. Example.
Okay.
Should I explain it?
Okay, move to the next. I simply the process. Good. Oh, that lecture is there completely. Yes, you may take it.
Yes, go ahead. Next, we have the cooperative principle.
Read it.
Make your conversational contribution such as is required at the stage at which occurs by the accepted purpose or direction of the top exchange in which you are engaged by Paul Grice, 1975. Quoting this principle are four maxims called the Gratian maxims. First, the quantity maxim makes your contribution as informative as is required, but not more or less than is required. The quality maxim do not.
You may simply say the quantity is actually up to the mark.
Up to.
And then obviously the content is of quality.
Yes.
It has relevance, and then even the manner of communicating there is also all these are the relevance. Okay.
Next. Next we have edges. Words or phrases used to indicate that you are not really sure what you are saying is sufficiently correct or not. So his hair was kind of long. I could say his hair was long, but I am not sure about this. That's why I'm saying his hair was kind of long. Her face was sort of pale. As far as I know, I'm near the ocean. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Keats is a finer poet than Shelley. I'm not absolutely sure.
Words or phrases, okay, move back to previous slide, used to indicate that you are not really sure about you're not certain about it, but obviously,
yes,
mean the long, kind of long page, sort of page. Okay? As far as I know, maybe the situation is different.
Right.
As for my reckoning, my understanding, the situation is like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're just even admitting that fact, maybe I'm wrong. You may. I'm not absolutely sure. So all these are the edges.
They are edges.
Next.
Next we have implication. Additional meaning conveyed by a speaker while talking is called implication. Like here Sarah says, will you join us tomorrow in cinema? And Laura says, I've got an exam. Now she is conveying an extra information that I can't go to cinema because I've got an exam. This is all about implication. Go ahead. Background knowledge. Next. Background knowledge first is why it is important to have background knowledge. First is cognitive scaffolding, building new information onto existing frameworks.
You may see the infrastructure outside, that is development.
That is
then the scaffolding outside, mean the worker are using that structure to go to the altitude. In language, in cognition, you have certain information
existing
that then you need to put that information in proper sequence and order, just like the scaffolding of a building outside, and then you are reaching up to that point to understand. Okay? By using the structure of the previous information. So we're building new information onto existing frameworks of information. That is cognitive scaffolding.
Next, we have interdisciplinary connections, recognizing relations between seemingly unrelated concepts.
Here you see, we are using the discourse for the interpretation of the language. So how is actually
related to many other fields?
How is it helpful in the process of understanding the piece of language? So we are taking help from discourse. Discourse in linguistics, a separate discipline, and then comes the SLA, second language acquisition, is a separate discipline. So interdisciplinary approach is there, and then you are moving from discourse, even linguistics, to psychology. That is a separate discipline. This is the interdisciplinary, and discourse and SLA, that is the interdisciplinary. So sometimes you are moving and taking ideas from different disciplines and trying to get the picture clear. So interdisciplinary connection is there, recognizing relation between seemingly unrelated concepts. He's a once you use the metaphor, he's a lion. He's actually not a lion. You actually show his chivalry, boldness, bravery. These are the characteristics to that metaphor which are important to a particular person.
Next, we have rhetorical awareness, allowing readers to identify literary devices like metaphors, allusions, and hyperbole. Now, few words, phrases, and idioms of English language are there. We can't understand them unless we go there in Europe. Okay, we should have a strong background knowledge of these things. Then we can know.
Certain allusions are there.
Yeah, certain allusions are there, certain words and phrases and idioms. So,
and hyperbole, give a single example if you have in your mind.
I told us right now.
exaggeration.
Yes, exaggeration, poetical device. Next, next we have schema. A conventional knowledge structure in memory. Knowledge structure in memory for specific things such as supermarket, food is displayed on shelves arranged in cases. So every person has some kind of classroom schema in his mind, uh, playground schema, then supermarket schema, shop schema, zoo schema, wedding ceremony schema. That this is a pattern, a fixed pattern in your head. That whenever you go at these places, you will find these things. Whenever you go to a supermarket, you will go. Food is displayed on shelves and arranged in aisles. So that is called schema. Schema is in your head. Go ahead. Next we have script. Now every schema has some script. When we go to that supermarket, so we'll be having some discussion with the boy who is standing at the ticket counter. Okay, so that is like set of typical fixed features in a schema is called
Features of that schema is actually the script.
Script.
Even you see the script writers are there.
Yes.
Mean the dramas that you are able to watching different episodes weekly. So, mean the script writers are there that they are writing. Even the telefilms and movies that they are writing scripts. So for a writer, the script is there. According to that script, by using the information in his or her schemas, he is trying to produce that script and then organize the writing accordingly. So these information mean these particular points has to do with the cognition.
Yes.
Mean the subjective mental model. I mean the context. You may go back to the context. Yes.
Next. That's all.
That's all.
If you have any question, you may pose it right away.
Obviously, I'm expecting few questions from the class. You must ask questions.
Yes.
That is contribution from your side.
Traffic should always.
So appreciate Mr. Furqan, the way he has delivered this.
Clapping guys.
So he has, as we said,